Assalamualaikum, a very good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can all hear and see me. Hope you're all well. Let me just see that everyone's okay. Thank you, everybody. We have 132 participants with us today. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much for that. I hope this will be an insightful session for you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the second invitation from Talentbank, and I hope that you're all enjoying your career fair at the moment. Okay, so let me get back. Why am I on my last screen? I should be on my home. Get to the home button. Hold on, yeah. Slight hiccups today. Here we go. So for those of you, I hope that you are all new participants. If you had been to the first version, I apologize. I will try to cover new areas and perhaps answer some of your questions. So let's start. I take it some of you have graduated or are about to graduate. In any case, regardless of the very strange times that we find ourselves in, it's an exciting time for you and a new chapter awaits, and I'm wishing you all the very best with that. But like you, and especially in this last couple of days, in this last few weeks, a lot of uncertainties are there, and I feel for you. It's on the one hand, it is a brave new world out there, so many things to look forward to, especially at your age, and I wish, well, I don't wish to go back to the age that you are now, but I can imagine the opportunities of technology and of how society is moving. There are clear opportunities out there, but at the same time, of course, there is a lot of uncertainty, and you're right to be worried and cautious. But I'm here to get you to get your chins up and look forward, think about it, take a step back before you enter the workforce, and think about what you want to do in the road ahead and prepare for this post-COVID-19 world, right? So you may have questions about how's the economy going to look like post all these lockdowns? What's the global economy? What's the domestic economy? And what's the situation in Malaysia? What's the job market like? What kind of skills do I need in this new digital RR 4.0 era? What kind of experience do I have? I don't have any experience. I'm about to enter. What can I portray to my potential employees? You have skills, by the way. You have skills that you've been honing throughout your education years. What about the competition? So many graduates out there. Are there enough jobs? Do I work for a company, or do I start my own business? And maybe something a lot of you have been thinking about in this time is, how can I help those in need safely, right? These are questions you should keep in mind. But in any situation where there are challenges, there are opportunities. Like I said, take this time to take a step back and truly prepare yourself. The presentation is talking about how to get yourself noticed. Before you can get yourself noticed, let's prepare yourself first. If you know to stand out, you need to be able to bring out the best in yourselves, not only in your communication, in written work, but also when you start to speak to your potential employers and when you start to network. So as I said, the best preparation for the future is to prepare yourself, right? How are you going to stand out in this colorful bunch of pencils? How are you going to be the sharpest pencil in the box? The question I would ask you then is, do you know yourself? What makes you you? What makes you stand out from everyone else? And if you know that, then that is your brand. Essentially, like I said, at the presentation title says it, you as a brand, you are the brand, right? So why brand yourself? Is there such a thing? If you look around you, think about it, what are your favorite brands? Is it, some of my favorite brands are Adidas, although I don't exercise as much as I would like to. Of course, I like Samsung. I'm an Android girl, so I'll settle that for now. I'm not an Apple girl anymore. Netflix, those are favorite brands, or even your food, KFC, McDonald's. Notice they're all fast foods. But what about the people that you admire, right? Who are your role models? You know, if you think about, is it Nelson Mandela, the Obama, closer to home, some of your, you know, your school teachers, your parents, anyone in your family, leaders in the community. And when you think about your favorite brands and your role models, what is it about them that you like? Is it, you know, when you think about it, they were kind, they are eloquent, they speak their mind, but at the same time, they are purposeful, they care, they look very polished. I like the way they smile, I like the way they talk, I like the words they use. These are some of the things that stick in your mind. I like the way these people or these brands make me feel comfortable and, you know, reassured, confident. What makes you remember them is exactly what their brand is. And similarly, your brand is your reputation. You might not even have to say a word to this person. You might not even have had to meet them, but you've seen them in newspapers, on TV, or you've heard other people speak about them. That essentially is your reputation, right? So brand and reputation nowadays are very closely intertwined. So for instance, when you see a picture of Tan Sri, Dr. Noisham, you know him to be a quiet, reserved person, but he's very precise, very, very systematic and no nonsense. Whereas when you see someone like Richard Branson, was very flamboyant, you know, he's in everything, he's always out there, very, very external. These things speak about them before they even enter a room, and it's your view of them, right? So your brand, maybe, and if I'm to distinguish between the two, your brand is the way you present yourself to the world. I look a certain way, I speak a certain way, or what you think of yourself. But your reputation will basically be how others collectively perceive you, right? And we would like to hope that the one and the two are the same in today's in this time, in these times that we live in, because ultimately it's very hard to distinguish between what you put out there and what people will perceive of you. The timing is real time now. So essentially, as Jeff Bezos, another guy I admire, he says your brand, your personal brand, is really what people say about you when you are not in the room. It's what I've been talking about just now. Another person I admire, Michelle Obama, right? I think the title of the book is so apt, because at the start of your journey, of your career, and even as you become a young adult, that's what you are becoming. You are becoming, right? But what you become continues to evolve. So don't think that, you know, I myself am still growing up, and I just turned 50 this year. So, you know, long road ahead for you. But essentially, when you are becoming, how do you become, right? What you become, that person that you become, essentially are made out of a few things. When somebody perceives it of you, it's how you look, how you speak, and how you act, right? As I said, and that becomes your personal brand. So think about how you've been presenting yourself all this while. Essentially, what you do and say, how you see yourself, what others perceive, or how others see you, and how you make people feel, that confluence, that orange bit in the middle, collectively, that makes your brand, right? And that is supported by how consistent you are, how credible you are, how people perceive you. Are you genuine? Are you compelling? Right? You have to be your nawaitu, your niyat, your authenticity, this all comes into play, because people also have very good emotional IQ as well as a general IQ. They can see whether you are genuine, are you interested in what they're saying, or are you interested in what you want to portray to them. So these are some of the things that you need to look out for and think about when you're presenting yourself as a brand. And especially now, you know, we are all Insta babies, and we're all after that next Insta shot or Insta story, or, you know, we care about what we post on Facebook and on our WhatsApp, where we make our opinions and our feelings known and sharing the latest food, fashion, and so on. Just remember that you as a brand exists both in the real world and online. So what you see, for instance, my LinkedIn profile is public, so anyone can have a look at it. Although my Instagrams and my Facebook are personal. Though within those two, even to my own audience, I will show a bit of my work life as well as my personal life. But you have to know which and when is appropriate, right? And ensure that you're always taking care of your persona that you present, because you exist both in the real world and online, and people will try to see whether those two match together. But let me also advise you, and I would rather prefer this, that you in the real world will always matter. So, you know, I mean, I myself, you know, do admit that I sometimes perfect some of my pictures, kurus sikit ke apa benda, but at the end of the day, you all are going to meet me in real life and you say, oh, she's not as, she's a lot more prosperous than I thought she was, for instance, right? So be careful who you put online, and suddenly, you know, well, she's not the model she makes out to be. You know what I mean? So how do you take charge of your positive personal brand? Look, this is not rocket science. I didn't invent this this subject, right? You can do a lot of research on Google as well, and I'm happy to and particularly happy to source things that make sense to a lot of to me. This one I got from happyologist.co.uk. And I think I agree with a lot of things that they're saying when you're thinking about personal brands. For example, I think this, again, it resonates with the earlier slides that I presented. Be authentic in everything that you do. You can't make things up. Share what is unique about yourself to the world. Manage your online presence. And I think this is not only as a brand, but for you to be a better person is always seek to add value to others. By adding value, you learn, you continue to evolve, and hopefully you become a better person to help others and yourself. Smile, focus on the positives, and be appreciative. Selalu bersyukur. Bersyukur tu, I think, is some people, you know, it's an underrated thing, but be grateful. There are a lot of things in your life that we can be grateful for, especially now. And this all put together makes for a very compelling, not only compelling brand, but really a compelling person that you want to engage with, get to know, and maybe be a part of your team. So I've elaborated some more on the do's and don'ts of personal branding here. I think in my previous presentation, I did this more as a laundry list, but let me take time to go through this with you in a bit more detail. Some of the do's and don'ts. This is not exhaustive, by the way, and if you have other questions about it, you may raise it in the Q&A session. How do you go about knowing who you are? The best place to start, really, are people who know you best, right? Know your own strengths and areas of improvement. Seek your feedback from friends, family, your mentors. You know, have a heart-to-heart to them and say, I'm sure you have this conversation with them all the time, like, you know, what am I really like? Am I really, you know, am I really as loud, and, you know, is my voice too high, or, you know, am I calm when I speak to you? Do I listen to you? Am I funny? You know, things like that. Get some feedback from your family, friends, and your teachers and your mentors to help you form that 360 picture. and ensure that what you think of yourself matches up to what they see of you. Invest your time to work on a good resume. And by the way, resumes, you can refine that as often as you want. That's the beauty of it. But make sure that you start off with a pretty good one. There's lots of templates out there that can help you. And I believe some of my other colleagues have also given webinars on how to present good resumes and so on and so forth. If you are choosing to share your LinkedIn profiles or some of your blogs, ensure that your look, the way you speak, is true to you and your brand. And that all wraps up in a very nice introduction to yourself, at least on the surface. Build your network, especially now. I know you may think, how do I do this in the time of a lockdown? The social media and LinkedIn groups are for me key areas that I've kept myself in touch with my colleagues in the industry, in Malaysia and around the world. And I encourage you to do the same. Build your network. Join conferences, go to webinars such as this that are relevant to you to hone your skills. And if you're interested in a particular industry that you want to get in, learn more about it. This can only then be put in as inputs to your resume again and help you build your presence along the way. I did want to highlight something new this time around. I think, as I said, if we find ourselves with some free time and we have some skills to put to use, I think this is the time for you to also go out and help communities, even if you can do it online or via, taking charge of your own local communities to help other communities. I can tell you that so many people out there are in need of our help. And this as well not only helps you become a better person, but also helps you build some experience in how to organize assistance for such communities. Now, when it comes to, we all have opinions, and we have very strong opinions sometimes in this time and day. Follow and comment on content appropriately. Be genuinely interested. Please don't comment just because you need to make a comment. Seek to understand before you do, because all these comments can be linked back to you, and people will start to see whether they link the way you speak on a comment to what you are presenting in your professional social presence, like LinkedIn, for instance. Strive to be consistent, across social platforms. You can use, your username, your headshots, unless you really want to separate out your personal from your professional. Here I'm just talking more about your professional. What you want to portray as your professional self, ensure that it is consistent across the board. Like as I said just now, do try to keep it separate. The last thing you want to do is inappropriate or postings that don't fit with the profile or the industry that you want to enter. And watch your privacy settings. This one, I would say, this is a general cautionary warning for everyone, right? To watch your privacy settings, because cybersecurity nowadays is getting to be quite lax, and especially while we're in multi-conferencing such as this, do be careful of your privacy settings and the platforms that you're using. Last but not least, and I'm sure, I will welcome if any of you want to follow me on LinkedIn or be in touch. But do remember to always have a proper introduction of yourself prior to sending requests or memos for your resumes when you're applying for jobs and or when you're asking for LinkedIn connections. You will be surprised the number of, it's not just new graduates, but also adults who simply want to connect with you and don't give you a reason why. I don't know your face, I don't know who you are, you just want to connect with me. That's not going to wash, right? Because in this day and age, there has to be a purpose why you want to connect with somebody on LinkedIn. What value do you want, or how can that person help you with, or rather how you can help that person. And then you see where that relationship takes you. So that's some of the do's. Let's move on to some of the don'ts. Don't be someone you're not. right? So don't try to fake news yourself for it. And another thing is, not everything is an Insta moment. There could be things that you shouldn't be oversharing. But I leave you to your own discretions and for you to discover, you know, what's most appropriate for you. That's don't be discouraged by other people's judgments, but you should know where your limits are. Do not use unprofessional usernames or photos, especially pertaining to a job that you're particularly looking for or in the industry, right? Don't forget to proofread. I myself am very lax sometimes, you know, but don't forget to proofread all your content before finalizing your cover letters, reviews, resumes, and your postings. I understand that we're not all, you know, perfect in our grammar and our vocabulary, and I would rather have someone who comes across very earnest in their letters. A few grammar mistakes here and there, it's okay. Be confident, own it. Tapi janganlah berterabur sangat. It does impact the impression that you're making on your potential audience. Do not spam online groups with your resume CVs. Very easy. You've done your resume, you're very excited, and you just get all the emails of the companies that you're looking at, and you press send. Kadang-kadang tak ada cover letter, kadang-kadang tak ada, there's no introduction. I really discourage that. If you're going to, by all means, keep trying and go for as many jobs as you wish, but do spend some time to tailor your cover letters, your resumes, to show that you are interested in that particular position, although you may be going for 20. And also when you're online and on LinkedIn and stuff, and on social media, please try not to be easily offended by any critical comments or comments from others that don't agree with you. If you agree to disagree, so be it. But there's no need to, you know, I really don't think nowadays especially there's any reason for someone to launch personal attacks or try to impose your views on others. If you are to respond, keep them professional and considerate, because I'm sure you also feel the same when you want someone to give you feedback about your posts or your stance on some of the issues of today. The other way of doing it is you don't have to comment, right? You don't have to comment on absolutely everything that a company posts. You want to show enthusiasm, do. You can like, you can say thank you for that post that was really helpful, for instance, but make sure that, you know, you give your reply substance. Sometimes I know, you know, a lot of people are, you know, guilty of just doing thumbs up. But what does a thumb up really mean? You know, if you want to impress a post or someone that you are trying to get in touch with professionally. Last but not least, and again, these are not the exhaustive list of don'ts, but don't get disheartened. There are times when you will not hear from the people that you've reached out to, right? Even worse, they'll say, I'm sorry, at this point of time, we have no positions for you, or I'm not interested in or if you are trying to sell a product or promote a product, they might say, I'm not interested in that at this point of time. Just don't get disheartened. That's part of life. You have to keep reaching out. Take a step back or re-strategize, just keep trying, and someday something will stick. Either that will be by a job application, or someone will listen to a proposal that you've put online to them, or, you know, a project that you are pitching to your boss. It happens, right? So I hope that gives you some ideas of the do's and don'ts. It doesn't just cover personal branding, to be honest. But what I'm saying is a lot of these things collectively will add up to the pieces that people will get an impression of you. And as in all things, I particularly like this photo. I like going to the beach, and I like to see how stones balance on top of each other, and I thought this was a particularly nice one. As a brand, you will always need balance. As a person, you need balance, right? And as you build your character, as in all things, you don't want to be either end of the spectrum. You want to be able to to show that you are a rich character across the spectrum. I like this particularly. Be strong but not rude. Be kind but not weak. Be bold but not bully. Be thoughtful but not lazy. Be humble but not timid. Be proud but not arrogant. And have humor but without folly. These words I felt really spoke to me. And, you know, if you take time to think about it, I'm sure you will agree that, you know, when you want to see a person, you want to see all these characteristics, but not the ones on the right, right? And at the end of the day, you can plan what you say, you can write whatever it is that you've written in your resume, but when you go to that interview, when you meet that person or you're talking to them online like this, after you finish that discussion, you will find that people may forget what you've said, and people may forget what you did after a while, but people will never forget what you made them feel. And these words were no more truer said than by my favorite poet, Maya Angelou. And that's true. I hope from today, for instance, you know, what you take away from it is that, you know, I hope to have given you some insights to help you along your journey. And you may not remember what I said. In fact, you may want to go back to my slides and say, oh yeah, she was talking about that. But I hope that you know that I've helped you along your journey some way today by this small webinar. Now, I know at this point of time, you might be saying, well, the job that I really want might not be out there. Or, you know, this job looks like something I want to pursue, but it's not really speaking to me. It's okay, right? Get as much experience from the opportunities that are out there from different jobs. One day you will find a job that fits your brand. For now, I think it's more about getting the experience. But at the end of the day, of course, you want to find a job that fits this Japanese concept called Ikigai. And another one of these frameworks that I really, really love and I think really speaks to me. Because it says what you want to do in life, it'll be ideal if it's something that you love. It's ideal that it's something that you're good at. And of course, we want to get paid for it. And even better, if it's what the world needs, right? Because that's what gives you your passion, gives you a reason for being, your mission. It becomes, you can be a profession or it can be a vocation. But you know, all these feelings, they along your journey in your career, you will find not only when you get that job, within that job, you will find projects. And within those projects will be the same kind of feelings, how you feel about it. Just make sure that your purpose is always on point, right? And as you go along your career, you may not know what your purpose is now, but you may have if you have an idea, hold to it, because that is the seed from which you want your career purpose to grow, right? And then and I like the fact that the word for courage comes from the French word cœur, which is heart, right? So when you're finding your purpose, you're really trying to find how you want to live from the heart and be genuine about it, right? It's a bit more philosophical conversation that we're having. And lastly, but not least, you know, for those of you of faith, kerja itu ibadah dan amanah, right? So do it with the right intent, and there will always be some form of reward for you. If not monetary, then in terms of your career and the building of your character. Hold fast to your purpose and values. And that journey shouldn't end. It continues to grow, right? It's not only just the way how you look, how you speak. For instance, you know, 20 years ago, my voice was very high and I try to calm it down now. You know, 3 years ago, I was free hair, now I'm hijab. And, you know, that's all part of your brand. But essentially, I think I've not changed internally. And so, you know, but you can still continue to grow your brand, being yourself with purpose. You continue your journey of self-discovery, being self-aware, how you express yourself, how you promote yourself, build up your self-confidence, and your self-development will continue. It's a virtuous circle, I hope, but it all starts with you. Don't give up searching, right? Keep searching, even if you come across opportunities that are not quite there, or you face some rejection along the way. It's okay. It's all part of the experience. Just don't give up. Be the best that you can be. Keep learning, keep growing. And along the way, get as many feedback as you can from friends and family, and even from people that you admire in the workplace. I'm sure that all of us are quite happy to spend some time to give you some pearls of wisdom, or at least share our experience on how it was for us. And no calmer soul was there than Mahatma Gandhi in facing a lot of his adversities. Of course, we all have our true norths and compass and guides, you know. Keep your thoughts positive, because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive, because your words become your behavior. And keep your behavior positive, because your behavior become your habits. Keep your habits positive, because your habits will become your value. And keep your values positive, because one day they become your destiny. I think this is very important. The key thing to take away from this is positivity. And if, you know, and again, for us of faith, and not just be grateful, bersyukur, there's always something better in ahead of us. Now, when you are at the crossroads of life, as we had started off earlier with the two roads going and the challenges that you're facing, you will find that you can either go this way or that way. But I just want to remind you, always in life, there is another way. If you can find an option that works best for you, and it doesn't sit in either of prescribed places, but you know it's right for you, please go ahead and find your bliss. Because there will always be another way, and maybe a better way for you. Last but not least, when you wake up every day in the morning, you choose what is the attitude and the energy that you want to bring for the day, right? So when you wake up every day, and after you've had your coffee or be ready, decide what do you want to do be the best that you can be. And I would urge you to do this every day. With that, I finished my presentation on you know, getting yourself noticed. It's more, like I said, it's not really a branding 101. There are a lot of things that get pulled together to give an impression of who you are. And what I hope to impart on you is that your brand is not a science, it's an art. It's about character, it's about reputation, it's about how you engage not only with your loved ones and your friends and your stakeholders, but also how you engage with life. And that comes across as a person when we are interacting with each other. And I hope and I wish for you all the best in your search going forward. And before we go into the Q&A, just a few messages from the sponsors. Please post your questions, as many questions as you want, and you may win a special token from TM, so good luck. When you're posting your questions, I believe we're only taking questions that will be upvoted, so please you know, like the questions that you particularly want to answer. And I ask of you, if you would be so kind, and after you finished all this, if you can vote for us in the graduate's choice awards, I would be most grateful. TM would be most grateful to you as well. Here's the QR code, and not to do now, for instance, but you can do it later, and we'll come back to that again. And do visit our career booth for any other career tips and job vacancies that we may have at the moment. We are going very, very digital in this day and age. And so if you are one of those that have been fortunate enough to receive training in digital skills, in design thinking, agile works, or if you're a techie and you're in data analytics or AI, in cloud services, or if you're like, you know, in lawyers, engineers, accountants, but skewing towards the digital age, you know, we would like to hear from you. Hopefully there are positions out there for you, not only with TM, but with other employers out there. Because one thing's for sure, a lot of the bigger enterprises will be going into the digital era. There will be a lot of medium-sized companies that are looking to grow as well, and hopefully you will be part of that workforce that will help these SMEs grow. For, you know, one day these SMEs may become enterprises themselves. So do look at some of the stuff that's on the calendar coming up. And I'm wishing you all the best for that. Do follow us on LinkedIn and on Facebook to keep up with the developments at TM and some of the interesting things that we're doing for Digital Malaysia. Hopefully that is to essentially help accelerate everyone in the digital economy, especially those that don't have connectivity at the moment. And with that, I end my presentation. Thank you so much for your kindness and attention. And please be safe out there. And remember to, you know, keep your distance, wear your mask, wash your hands, and take care of each other. And may we all return stronger one day. With that, wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And thank you for your attention.
Hi, Izlyn. So let us start with the Q&A session.
Sure.
All right, I'll read out the questions to you and you address the questions to the audience.
Sure.
Okay, the first question is, hi, Ms. Izlyn. You have said that however you look, speak, and act will become our brand. So the question is, does the look actually includes the item that we have on our social media as well?
If your social media is public, of course, a potential person, even if it's an employer or even someone who's getting to know you, let's face it, a lot of us go and Google each other to find out more about each other online, right? So it will impact their impression. If, you know, 3 out of 4 social platforms look a certain way and in this one you look completely different, and I say that's subject to it being public, of course. Like I said, if you choose that particular platform not to be public and you want it to be private, by all means, go ahead. But if it's public, be sure that people can connect the dots and try to calibrate whether that is part of your entire image. Okay, Sean?
All right. So the next question is actually, the candidate wants to know about the design of resume template based on, let's say, their field of interest or the field that the industry that they're currently in. So does different template actually impact or affect their job application for different industries?
In general, I would say no. I think there is a template for how a basic resume would look like. Essentially, for instance, you don't want it to be more than 2 sides, right? So you will have a A4 and back and forth. Generally, you will have a short description on the top, on kind of like LinkedIn, right? In LinkedIn, you have like an about column and you want to share with them who you are. And then you have very short paras on your education or your, if you have been working before, your latest. It always works out in the latest to the, if a history timeline, you start with the latest and going down to the last, right? So you have your experience, you have your education, interests. Those are pretty basic. How you want to make it stand out, maybe in the top column when you're talking about yourself. So if you want to target a particular job or a particular industry, be sure that that is the area where you address your audience, right? If you are very, very rajin. Otherwise, I also have seen people who have very standard format resumes, but when they send out their applications via email, they will then do the cover letter, or the email preamble will be targeted to the job or to that particular industry. I hope that helps.
All right. So the next question is actually by Muhammad Shukri Jeffrey. His question is that different people will present different personality. So how can they consider that their true personality can be accepted by others?
Okay, well, you know, this is a very subjective question, of course. My first advice would be, you cannot be presenting so many split personalities, right? You can only be yourself. And sometimes it's a question of chemistry, right? So if you can only be yourself, just ensure that that's you are projecting the best version of yourself. At least for a job interview, you definitely know you're going to be trying to show the best part of yourself, and not as you go along and get to know each other better, right? It's similar when you meet a boyfriend or girlfriend, for instance. It is actually about chemistry. I can tell you one thing: not everybody will like you, right? Or not everybody in a company, for instance, that person on that day might have chemistry with you, another person might not. But that's why some people have a panel of interviewers, right? Some of you will be facing panels. You will have 3 or 4 people interviewing you in a panel. Some of you might only have 1. And again, it's a question of chemistry. But if you put that all aside, let's deal with what is within your control. What is within your control is how you present yourself to the world. And let's start with being yourself, because ultimately you want to be liked for yourself, and you want your future employer to see you as you are. But I also know that a lot of you will be nervous when you go for interviews. And sometimes we come across, oh, that's not the best that I could have done. But rest assured, even throughout nervousness and all that, I think there will be an impression or an underlying character that will show through, and that will be considered in your interviews, right? So, for instance, if you're watching some talent show, you've seen a lot of them when they come up to do their American Idol or wherever it is of The Voice. You know, if they have a wonderful voice, they have a wonderful talent, but when they first come through the table, they're a bit nervous and their voice starts to shake. But you often find that the judges will give them a chance and say, I can see something in you. Trust me, someone will be able to see the potential in you too. Okay?
All right. Moving on to the next question. Hi, Miss Izlyn. I am always nervous when it comes to online interview. I tend to stutter and then I lose my focus. Could you please provide me any tips moving forward?
Okay. First of all, before you even go to your, before you start your interview, there are a few steps. You have to be well prepared, right? Well prepared in the sense as you know what you want from this job, or have a bit of knowledge about the industry. If you know your stuff and you know what you want from it, at least that's a good start. Secondly, before you go to the interview, please take a deep breath. Find a piece of calm, pray, meditate, do whatever it is that you need to find that quiet place, right? And think about this interviewer as a new friend that you want to talk to, you know, and you don't have to be so, think about them as a friend or someone that you know that you're comfortable talking to, and hopefully that will help you calm your nerves. And you know, if you do come across nervous, you can just, you know, and you think that the conversation is going slightly off tangent, you can always just say, I'm sorry, let me take a step back, I'm a bit nervous, and start again, right? Hopefully with practice. And the other thing is, it takes practice. If you have friends and family who are willing to sit down with you and, you know, role play with you about this, and please go ahead and do that too, because that will help you feel a bit more confident. And I wish you all the best. But all I can say is practice makes perfect. prepare yourself before, and just breathe. Okay.
All right. So the next question is by Vivian. Her name is Vivian Ho. The question is, let's say what if what she studied is different from the industry that she's currently working in? So which image or which brand should she show to the public? So for example, if she's studying in economy, but she's more on a customer's engagement career, so how should she present herself? How should she brand herself?
Okay. Good question. For instance, right, let me ask you this. Is the degree that you studied what makes you you? No, right? You are so much more than your field of study. Now, as I said, in this day and age, there may be not the opportunity for you to exactly find the job that fits your field of study, but it may be something that you are passionate about. So I have to ask you this. Are you passionate, or are you very interested in doing something like customer engagement? It doesn't matter what your field of study is then. You know, what you want to do is bring elements of your experience, of your personality that will make you right for customer engagement. That you like to be a people person. You enjoy helping people throughout the day, or find solutions for them. Then it really doesn't matter whether you understand the supply and demand of the macroeconomics, right? So that's separate. But if you're going for an economics related job, that's when you have to bring your technical knowledge to the table. But otherwise, like I said, that's how you recalibrate yourself when you're going for a job. Because at the end of the day, the person that wants to see how interested are you in the job that you are applying for now, and how are you bringing the experiences that you had, or your education that you've had in life, to address that particular job, and what can you bring. So as I said, if it's not a job in your particular field, I need to ask you the question, why did you apply for that job in the first place? If you can answer that for yourself, then you will bring across that to your employer. Okay?
Okay. So due to time constraint, we'll only be taking in another 3 questions. Is that okay with you, Mrs. Lee?
Sure, sure.
Okay, so the next question is, in your opinion, how can we make it that our resume look good when we are a fresh graduate without any experience? Is it necessary to put in our academic achievements, activities, volunteerism work, or club activities to grab the company's attention?
Yes, absolutely. You answered your own question. If those are not enough, just look at something, describe something that you've gone through, whether it'll be in one of those clubs that you have your part in, and describe, how you have shown initiative, or how you've gone out to help others in your group to solve an issue. It could be a project that you were doing in school. It could be a project that you're doing, whether it be in class or your co-curriculum, where it involves, many students, or, managing your teachers or some stakeholders. Maybe you were doing a donation drive. These are things that you can talk about. And maybe even if you were doing something outside of school, if you are an avid, you like to hike, or you like to, you're a good sportsman. There are things that you do as a team in sports, and even when you're hiking in a group, that you can leverage on. There's always a story to tell, because essentially what we're looking for is a story that will show the best of your personality and the person that you are. Right? We're looking for evidence in the life that you have led, or in the projects that you have carried out in your life. I hope that helps, because yes, I understand a lot of people will say, but I'm just starting out. But there are lots of things that you have already gone through that have made you the person that you are now, and share some of those stories. Maybe pick something that you were particularly proud of, whether it was winning an award in school. What were the efforts that you made to make you focus on your study? Or it could be something like you didn't get the grades that you wanted, and how did you deal with that? How did you rise up from that challenge? These are things, these are stories that people would judge you for, but they want to see how you worked yourself through. So hopefully find one or two things that can be an interesting topic for you to talk about.
Okay, Mrs. Lin. Next up is a question that does not have many upvote, but it's an insightful question. So I would like you to answer to that as well. So it's actually by Wing Hong. His question is there any advice on how the disabled graduates or working adult are able to brand themselves when it comes to finding a job with MNC despite their disability?
Okay, first and foremost, I would prefer to say that to not use the word disabled, but of special abilities. I think everybody has a special ability, regardless of whether you, regardless of who you are or what advantages that you have in life. For instance, in TM at our call centers, we have I think a good 20 or 30 special needs people who are working for us, and they are excellent at being listeners and in solving some of our customer experience problems, because generally, you know, when you have special abilities, you tend to be more sensitive to other people's needs. I find they are very good with customers, in handling customers, for instance. They are also more patient. You know, they tend to be more patient with projects because they're not on the run to go anywhere. They can focus and sit still and you know, critically look at solution for something. So I would say, don't get discouraged if you have special abilities, and again, that aside, it will be more about your personality, right? What do you want to bring to this job? What value do you want to contribute to the job and to society and to the people in the company? That is what we're looking for. And increasingly, you know, thank goodness for this, there are many more MNCs and companies that have policies and programs for people with special needs. So, you know, look out for those, and there are also special programs that are being run by ministries and NGOs that are also helping people in this category. So all the best with that.
Okay, so we have a last question by Samuel Lau. His question is that people mentioned that using system design resume would get your resume filtered out by ATS, applicant tracking system, or other functions. Is that true? Shall we customize our own variation instead of using system design in that case?
Well, I think there are certainly some companies that, you know, will make you go through their own online resume systems, right? That one you can't run away from. And you have to, so it's the same like school applications before. You know, when you go through college applications, some of them have system designed applications that you will have to go through. That one you can't do anything but go through the filtering systems. The other way that you can do it, like I said, if you have a resume that you already like and is quite well accepted by you know, when you design your resume, do have someone give an opinion on it, someone who's already at work, or you know, your people in your family who are working to say, is this a good resume or not? Then you go through many channels. There are many channels to apply to a company. You can email it. You can go via LinkedIn if you are fortunate enough. But like I said, you have to try many channels and many ways. Do some homework on your on the company that you're applying to. If they are a company that has a system, of course you have to follow it. If it's a company that says follow this channel, you can use that channels and then try to find creative ways to also reach a decision maker, right? Like I said before, there's this way, and then there's that way. There's always another way. You must try your best to see which is the way that will get you noticed. It's sometimes touch and go, like I said, but do not get disheartened. There will be a job that's right out there for you. If it's not right for you now, one day you'll get a job that's absolutely perfect for you. But for now, keep trying, get that experience, and as long as you feel that this job can teach you something and you can bring value to that job, why not go for it?
Right. So I will be sharing the GCA slide again. I believe some attendees mentioned just now that they would like to take a look at the QR code again. So this is the QR for you in case you would need it. And aside from that, I would like to launch a poll that I hope everyone can just vote on it. We would like to know your satisfaction towards today's session. Izlyn, if you would like, you can still continue talking during this session while I show the GCA slide.
Okay, I'm just gonna see whether there are any other questions. Someone asking, what is my favorable moment in TM? If you follow me on LinkedIn, you will see that I have a hashtag called Life at TM. And every time I'm posting about a Life at TM moment, it tends to be a favorite moment for me in the day. So what I'm saying is that I try to find a Life at TM moment for me as often as I can, which just means that I just love my job and I love my company. You know, let's see what else here. Okay, some of you maybe think that you're shy. And I think this is quite important. I am a non-interpersonal person. Yes, it's true. Now, guys, if you have time, if you have heard of Myers-Briggs and it's 16 personalities, do invest time to find out, do the test. It's about 10-15 minutes. It's free online. For instance, I am an ENFP, which means I am a campaigner. And some of you may be introverted. There are lots of INs and stuff like that. Go and find out who exactly you are. There are some very good insights for you to learn about who you are through those kind of personality tests as well. And it doesn't mean that there are no jobs out there. For instance, if you're introverted and you want to do a lot of time researching and finding out about things, there could be a job out there for you in research that doesn't involve you having a lot of time with other people. That's fine. Oh, hello, let's ENFP. Lots of you are campaigners. Great. So you know who you are. That's already a step. Remember, go back to the beginning of the presentation. I asked you, do you know who you are? Yeah, so that's good. So like I said, there's a job out there for and if it's not a job, guys, I think someone talked about starting their own business, and I say all the best for you and kudos. I'm not brave myself enough, but I think this time and age, if there are no opportunities out there that you see in the coming, always, and you have a good idea in your that can fulfill the needs of society at this point of time, there are so many ways that you can go out and start your own business. I would highly encourage that as well. On top of that, there are things as now, there's gig economy, right? So you can do a lot of freelancing jobs and still have your own business. So explore. I mean, honestly, the world is your oyster. And with that, I really want to wish you all the best, everyone. And I think everyone has said that as a token of gratitude, those attendees today can receive a personal profile analysis from TM as well, which is a different thing from the Myers-Briggs thing, but also very useful for you to learn more about yourself. I hope that wraps up the session, yeah, Sean?
Yes, we are done with today's session. We can wrap it up, and thank you to everyone for attending. Hope that you actually found this session insightful.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Anything, you can catch me on LinkedIn. But remember to always introduce yourself and, be sure on what you want to ask me about. But you may follow me anytime. There's some questions on the PPA. I think, you can help answer that as well. Okay, Assalamualaikum, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.